Hello Leute, hey guys, welcome back to my channel and to another video. In this video we'll learn how to go to a restaurant in Germany and to exclusively use German. Let's go. So, super important. Guten Tag, ich hätte gern einen Tisch für zwei. Good day or hello, I'd like a table for two. First of all, there is a noun in here, Tisch, masculine noun, der Tisch, die Tische in the plural. And then, super important phrase, ich hätte gern. Ich hätte gern. I would like to have something. So we only use this with a noun. You cannot add a verb after this, and the noun has to be in the accusative case. That's why I put the a in there, plus a. Ich hätte gern. Ich hätte is actually an advanced form called Konjunktiv 2 of the verb haben. You can also use ich möchte gern, also plus a noun in the accusative case. With the second one, ich möchte, you could also get a verb. With the first one, ich hätte gern, never a verb, only a noun. There's also, of course, ich will. Guten Tag, ich will einen Tisch für zwei. I want a table for two. It's not wrong, but it sounds a bit impolite. For a popular restaurant, you might have to call in advance and to book a table. Ich möchte einen Tisch für heute Abend um 19:30 Uhr reservieren. Here we can see the modal verb möchte, ich möchte. It also means I would like to. This one can be used plus a verb. In this case, reservieren. The other one, ich hätte gern, only plus a noun. I would like to reserve or book a table for tonight at 7:30. Now the restaurant employee might ask you, how many people or for how many people, für wie viele Personen? And then you can say something like, für 4 Personen bitte, or für 2 Personen bitte, and so on. The next sentence is, hier ist die Speisekarte, here's the menu. You won't say this, of course, unlikely, but the waiter will tell you. Speisekarte is menu. Die Speisekarte, die Speisekarten. Like all the nouns that end in E, it gets an N for the plural, and like most nouns that end in E, it is feminine. Speise, what does the first element mean here? Die Speise. Die Speise, das Gericht, das Essen, they're all synonyms, or at least very close. They all mean food or dish. They're all super close. Die Speise, das Essen, das Gericht. Was können Sie empfehlen? What can you recommend? Empfehlen is an irregular verb. It gets an IE for the second and third person singular. So, ich empfehle, du empfiehlst, second person singular, und sie, es empfiehlt, third person singular. Perfect tense, the past tense, hat empfohlen. It also has an irregular past participle form. So a tricky one, but important one. Empfehlen, recommend. We usually use this with a dative and an accusative. In our question above, it only has an accusative. The was here is accusative. It fulfills this function at least. And there is no dative here, but just to show you, we could have also said, was können Sie uns empfehlen? And now we have the dative object, the uns, to us. Okay, ich nehme die Suppe als Vorspeise. I'll take or I'll have the soup as a starter. I'll have is quite a common translation for this, but don't say this in German. Don't say, ich habe die Suppe. We don't use haben in this sense. Use ich nehme or the ones that we learned before. Ich hätte gern or ich möchte. They're all fine. Don't use haben in this case. So, die Suppe, die Suppen, you know this, the deal now, nouns that ended in E. And also we have another noun here, die Vorspeise. Again, ends in an E, feminine, gets an N for the plural. Vorspeise is starter. So what about main dish and then a dessert? It's quite straightforward in German. We have die Vorspeise. Speise is like food or a dish, as we've seen before. Vor is before something. So together, die Vorspeise, starter. After the starter, you might want to order a main dish, die Hauptspeise. Haupt is main. And after the main dish, if you're still hungry or if you have a sweet tooth, you might want to order a dessert. In German, die Nachspeise. Vorspeise, Hauptspeise, Nachspeise. For the second noun, die Hauptspeise, it's also common to say Hauptgericht. das Hauptgericht. They both mean main dish. Die Hauptspeise, das Hauptgericht. And speaking of Gericht, we have a sentence with this word coming up. Gibt es vegetarische Gerichte? This might be important if you're a vegetarian, like my sisters and my mom, for example. Are there vegetarian dishes, or are there any vegetarian dishes? So, we have vegetarisch, and it's the opposite of mit Fleisch. Vegetarisch, vegetarian, mit Fleisch, with meat. So, you use this adjective to describe a dish, or a recipe, or a lifestyle, you know, like a diet. But don't use this to describe a person. If you want to refer to a person, you have to use a noun, not the adjective. So the noun would be der Vegetarier, a male vegetarian, and die Vegetarierin, a female vegetarian. Meine Schwester ist Vegetarierin. My sister is a vegetarian. Great. Ich hätte gern ein Glas Wasser. I'd like a glass of water. We have the nice construction again. Ich hätte gern plus a noun. Bonus question or trick question for you. What gender is Glas? Der, die, or das Glas? Well, it can't be die. Otherwise, it would have been eine, right? So it can't be that. Masculine or neutral? It is neutral. Das Glas, die Gläser. We get accusative case after haben, so also after ich hätte gern. If this noun was masculine, it would have been einen, because accusative masculine, it changes from ein to einen. The neutral doesn't do it, so this is neutral. Das Glas, die Gläser. The second noun here is Wasser, and it's also, which gender? It's also a neutral noun, das Wasser. And just to remind you, you can also say ich möchte ein Glas Wasser. Gern would be optional here. Ich möchte gern ein Glas Wasser. And again, ich will is okay, but it's not the most polite version. If you're serious about learning German, you should definitely check out my 27-hour-long Beginners A1 course. Join over 1,000 students that master the A1 German level with me. All details down below. It's the first link in the video description. Kann ich bitte ein Bier haben? Can I please have a beer? We could make this sentence a little bit more polite by using the Konjunktiv 2. Kann ich, can I? How about could I? Konjunktiv 2. That would be könnte ich. Könnte ich bitte ein Bier haben? It's more polite. Bier, der, die, das. It's a big question about German nouns always. Das Bier. This is neutral again. Ich nehme das Hähnchen mit Reis. I'll take the chicken with rice. I'll have the chicken with rice. Let's take a look again at the gender of these nouns. Das Hähnchen. By the way, all nouns that end in C-H-E-N, they are always 100% neutral because we have this diminutive suffix. Das Mädchen, girl. Das Häuschen, a cute little house. Das Hähnchen. So Chen makes things small and cute. What about Reis? Masculine. Der Reis. And do you know the opposite of mit? I'm sure you do. This is an A2 video, I guess, more or less. So you know, of course, mit and ohne. But do you also know the right cases? Mit plus dative, ohne plus accusative. Ohne is part of the 5 Fu-Dog prepositions. Fu-Dog, für, durch, ohne, gegen. All of these 5 Fu-Dog prepositions always take the accusative case. Let's move on. Ist das Gericht scharf? Some people don't like super hot dishes, like myself, for example, so this could be super useful. Is the dish spicy? Let's also learn the opposite, the antonym. Scharf and mild, just like English. Spicy and mild. And then the noun, das Gericht. We've seen this many times today in this video. Do you also know the plural form? Das Gericht, die Gerichte. Great. Könnte ich bitte etwas mehr Brot haben? Sometimes they're a bit tight, a bit stingy. They give you 2 slices. You might want to have more, so that could be also useful. Could I have some more bread, please? Here I've used Konjunktiv 2, which makes it a bit more polite, as opposed to kann ich. But kann ich wouldn't be super impolite either. Just könnte is a bit more polite. Let's briefly analyze this Konjunktiv 2 form. There's another form that is super similar, and that's konnte. So the difference between ich konnte without the umlaut, the two little dots, and ich könnte with the umlaut with the two little dots. Do you know the difference? Well, the first one, ich konnte, is past tense. It's the Präteritum past tense. So I could, yesterday I could do that. Yesterday I was able to do it. Ich konnte, past tense. Ich könnte is present tense, but it makes it hypothetical. It's Konjunktiv 2. It makes it indirect and not sure, not certain, or polite. One of the functions of the Konjunktiv 2 forms is polite requests, polite questions, etc. Also, mehr, opposite weniger, more and less or fewer. Great. Könnten wir noch eine Gabel haben? Again, Konjunktiv 2, könnten wir. As opposed to können wir, just there is a T. Only difference is one T in this case. Could we have another fork? So noch carries the meaning of another here, by the way. So it's die Gabel. You can see the indefinite article here, eine, so it must be feminine, of course. Die Gabel, die Gabeln. How about spoon? Der Löffel, die Löffel. How about knife? Das Messer, die Messer. Great. Schmeckt Ihnen das Essen? The waiter could ask you this question, or you might ask your friend or your wife or husband. In this case, schmeckt dir das Essen? Ihnen, that's the polite you, the formal you, and dir, the normal informal form. Do you like the food? So the verb schmecken uses the same grammar as the verb gefallen. You might know the verb gefallen. Etwas gefällt mir. Something pleases to me. Literal translation. It means to like. I like something basically. Just the grammar is different. The thing will be the subject and the person is in the dative case. So schmecken plus die plus dative. And gefallen we use in general, and schmecken we use for things that have a taste. We use schmecken for food and drinks. So schmecken and then hat geschmeckt. So also in the past tense, very typical question, hat's Ihnen geschmeckt? Hat es Ihnen geschmeckt? Subject es, dative object Ihnen. The waiter might ask you this question after your meal. So what could you answer? Well, es ist lecker, es ist gut, es ist nicht gut would be some options. After the meal, of course, you would change the present tense verb form to the past tense verb form. So, es war lecker, es war gut. Or, you might want to say, es war nicht gut. I hope that this won't happen, but who knows? It could happen. Möchten Sie noch eine Nachspeise? The waiter could ask you. Would you like some dessert? And then, noch again, what we've seen before, it carries the meaning of in addition. It could either be you had one dessert already and the waiter is asking if you want to get a second or a third dessert, but that's sort of unlikely. Also, in addition to what you've ordered so far, you had the pizza, you had your steak, maybe a salad and a soup and whatever. And in addition to all of these things, do you also want some dessert? Möchten Sie noch eine Vorspeise? That's the meaning that noch carries. It's a bit hard to translate. It has so many different meanings. I've done a full video on the tricky word noch, by the way, 3 or 4 weeks ago. You can find it down below in the description. So, die Nachspeise, dessert, there's 2 more words for that. It's enough to actively know one word, of course, but you can try to memorize the meaning of these words and learn them passively. So, der Nachtisch, das Dessert. I repeat, die Nachspeise, der Nachtisch, das Dessert. The last word is close to the English word, and we don't read the T here because that's a word that comes from French. Great. Entschuldigung, wo ist die Toilette? Also, useful question. Excuse me, where is the toilet? And of course, we also have some alternatives here. First of all, die Toilette, die Toiletten, and also das Klo, die Klos. Klo is a bit more informal, maybe a bit like Lü, and Toilette, like the English word toilet. So Klo, a bit colloquial spoken. Wir würden gern zahlen. We would like to pay. So another super useful pattern is ich würde gern plus a verb, or in this case, wir würden gern plus a verb. Don't forget the gern here, you need it. And it means I would like to pay, or here we would like to pay. So, alternatively, we can also say wir hätten gern die Rechnung. Now we have a noun. Now we can use the verb haben, or in this case it's hätte gern. Konjunktiv 2 of haben and gern. Wir hätten gern die Rechnung. We would like to have the bill, please, or to take or to get the bill, please. Also, there is two verbs here. There is zahlen without the prefix, and there is bezahlen. They mean the same thing, to pay. Zusammen oder getrennt? The waiter might ask you. Super common question. Together or separately? So does one person pay for all people, or do you want to split the bill, basically? And here, of course, there are more options. Zahlen Sie zusammen oder getrennt? That's the full question, you know, with the verb, zahlen, with the subject, Sie. But it's quite common to shorten the sentence, like zusammen oder getrennt, together or separately. Also, even longer, möchten Sie zusammen oder getrennt zahlen? We added the modal verb möchten in here. Would you like to pay separately or together? And you could answer zusammen bitte or getrennt bitte. Kann ich mit Karte zahlen? Can I pay by card? We have the preposition mit here in German. We don't have by Karte. Common mistake. We need mit in this case. So can I pay with card? Literal translation. So again, we have a noun that ends in an E. It's feminine. It gets an N for the plural, like almost always. Opposite is bar zahlen. Mit Karte zahlen, pay by card. Bar zahlen, to pay cash. Last important phrase, das stimmt so. Even shorter, stimmt so. We can omit the subject das here. Keep the change. So again, the shortened version is stimmt so, even more common without the subject das. It comes from the verb stimmen, and it means be correct, to be right. So stimmen. You can also say if you want to agree with someone. Someone says, this restaurant is amazing. Dieses Restaurant ist super. And the other person can just say stimmt. So use stimmt to agree with someone, but use stimmt so to say keep the change. So you give them a bit more and you don't want the change, basically. And what you're doing is here, you're giving a tip. Das Trinkgeld. Tip. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching this video to the end. I hope you've learned something new. Don't forget to check out my video courses down below in the video description if you want more. Otherwise, see you in the next video.